mercenaries, really, that's the double M. Born baller, baby boy, I be above the rim.
What's good, family? It's your boy Just Blaze, host of the best NBA pod in the game, Above the Rim. Keep it locked each week and join myself and a special guest as we tackle the latest rumblings in the league. If it's happening in the NBA, you know I got you covered. Make sure you subscribe on all platforms and leave that 5-star review. Let's get it.
What brought you out here today?
I'm just loving the snow. I'm from New York City. This ain't nothing to me, you know. Brooklyn finest. I'm here, baby. I love it. I love it. It feels good.
And so I see you had to come get your cup of coffee.
Oh my God, it's good. Actually.
You're not wearing gloves, nothing. You just
Born and raised in New York City. This ain't nothing. But it's gonna get worse, so I would advise y'all to stay home and stay safe.
You ain't no face to the Knicks. You only richer than us. That's why you got those seats. Alright? You ain't no face to the Knicks. You got more money than us. You got better seats than us. That's about it. We go hard. You travel with them. If I have money, I'll travel with them too, next.
Talk about it!
You are now tuned in to Above the Rim. Hoops talk for the streets.
Family, what's good? Welcome back to another edition of Above the Rim. Hoops talk for the streets. You already know how we do. Brought to you, as always, it's your host, Justin, a.k.a. Just Blaze. Family, you know the drill. To get in contact with me, you can always hit me up and follow me on Twitter at JustBlaze_513. IG at JustBlaze513. On Facebook, search Above the Rim Podcast. Email the show as well. Above the Rim NBA Podcast at gmail.com. Tap in and leave the family a voicemail to talk about it. Line is open. 908-718-1592. Knicks Nation, I know y'all gonna be calling in, talking your shit after this one, and I'm ready to hear that too. Cop your merch, family, as always. Leave your boy a review on iTunes, Spotify. Check out the YouTube page as well for the new vids. Link is in my bio. Very easy to find. Joining me this week, family, another good brother that I've connected with in this podcast game, host of the Off the Ball pod. Make sure you go check out his show and the Off the Ball Network as well. My man is ready for the Knicks smoke today. We here for my guy, Chris Lebron. What's good, my brother?
Hey, brother, man. Appreciate you having me on. Like I said, I had you on like a few months back, and I'm very excited to be on. And I got a lot to talk about these New York Knicks, man. I've been waiting for this, man. I cleared my schedule for this. I was like, I gotta talk to my guy Justin and talk about these Knicks and all that, because it's stressful out here, man.
Let's do it.
We get a little bit. You know, last year, then they give it, you know,
they gave
right back to the usual,
a little bit of hope, man.
You know, little taste, and then they hurt us, man.
Yeah.
They hurt us, man. So, like, you know, I'm excited to be on and chop it up with you.
Let's do it, man. Life of a Knicks fan. But let's get right into it. Well, we fresh off an All-Star weekend right now. Before we get on to Knicks, fresh off an All-Star weekend in Cleveland. Solid All-Star game festivities all around. Had the top 75 showcase as well, which was kind of dope seeing all of those greats together. The Rising Stars game was decent. All-Star Saturday night was a little mid. But the dunk contest, specifically Cole Anthony, Jalen Green, Toscano, Obi, the streets were definitely not feeling the dunk contest, Chris, man, as a whole. Too many missed dunks to me to kill the momentum. It caused a firestorm of those get rid of the dunk contest tweets. Some of those defund the dunk contest tweets I was seeing.
I saw that today. Someone said defund the dunk.
Yeah, man. So I'm swinging us to you, bro. Copping or dropping this take, brother. The NBA slam dunk contest is officially dead. Copping or dropping?
I don't think it's dead. I just think it had a bad moment. You know, it's like, because we have the moments where we got, you know, the Aaron Gordon, you know, Levine stuff, and it's like, all right, it's back. All right, so it goes to those ebbs and flows and all that. And to me, the dunk contest is what sets the tone, right?
Of course.
If you got a good dunk contest, it don't matter what happened to 3-point contest, skills contest, the rookie sophomore game. Dunk contest is what makes the All-Star Weekend what it is. And this one, you know, it makes you want to drop it, right? It makes you want to, because it was like, I think the percentage was like, it was like 25% of the dunk.
Terrible. Oh my God.
And
no one
me,
got it on the first attempt. I don't think anyone did.
No, and that's the thing. Like, the first dunker needs to set the tone too. Like, it doesn't have to be like a 10, but you got to set the mode, to set the energy, right? Jalen Green needed to go in there and do something to be like, okay, all right, maybe it may not be the sexiest dunk contest, but like, we're going to get something, right? It's going to be something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he kept missing. He can. And remember when Nate Robinson won the dunk contest and he won like 20, like
it was
20
like 20
times
something
and
attempts. Was that against Dwight?
Yeah,
I believe that
it was like, all right. It was the Dwight one. And it was like, all right, like you made it. It was like, damn, that many times? And that's the feeling. Like, it's not a matter of who's in it. I think a lot of people like trip over that, like, all right, who's in it? I think it's just a matter of like, first person to set the tone, and then all right, that gets the flow going. And we just didn't have that. Everyone missed the first dunk. It felt like the first 3 dunks, everyone felt like it missed. So like at that point, it didn't matter what you could have done. The 360 through the legs, through the rim, all that. It didn't matter. Once you miss that many dunks in a row, people don't, whatever. Just do something. Do a layup. Do it there. Do Armstrong. Remember Armstrong did the layup?
Yeah, do something at that point.
Make it. Make it. Just put it in the basket at that point. So like, dunk contest sets the tone of the weekend. People look forward to that. And when it's disappointing, that's when you get defund the dunk contest and all these stuff like these wild, like, but it just goes to those ebbs and flows of dunk contests. Like we'll have some years where it's like, all right, just get rid of it. And then we have times where it's like, oh, okay, come back. You know, like, so we need an Aaron Gordon, Levine comeback desperately.
Yeah, 100%. Well, we definitely are doing for that one right now. But I think I'm going to drop it. I don't think the dunk contest is officially dead. I just think it's missing the right contestants. And like I said, and made dunks as well. And when I say contestants, mainly the stars in the league. Come on now. What happened to the days when we had Mike, I'm saying Mike and Joe. We had Mike, Neek, all of those brothers in the dunk contest. The stars of the league, or actually the best dunkers in the league, which also have some star power in there as well. And I think maybe it's no slight to Obi, Cole Anthony, Jalen Green, because those brothers can get up off the floor and they could dunk. We know that. They got hops. We know that.
Yeah, of course.
But I think it could maybe have come into play, maybe a little stage fright. I don't know if I want to go that far, stage fright, but because I know these guys make these dunks in practice. They do. I'm sure
we see it.
Yeah, we see it.
The Knicks posted Obi Toppin. He's doing all these things.
Exactly.
Like,
that's why I think it was a little bit of nerves that come into play. And that's understandable too. Yes. It's the stage is set. It's also on Saturday night. A lot of people, especially the casual fan, this is like their first time hearing of some of these players. I know a lot of people that know who Cole Anthony was. Of people out of
Toscano, and like nobody heard of Juan Toscano.
Nobody knew who Toscano was.
No.
That's what I'm saying. No. So I feel like it's a little piece of that also as well. But I think maybe they could do maybe a 2-2, maybe 2 stars, maybe 2 rising stars or whatever the case may be, to make it maybe calm it down a little bit, calm down the energy, because I feel like it was a little bit of fright too, and them also really trying to outdo something that hasn't really been done, basically is what these guys trying to do. So, and as far as the dunks, they weren't really that bad. Like Obi's dunk wasn't that bad at all. I know people.
No,
I feel
it was
like
good, but it's like
it was underrated.
On the 8th time, it's like on the 8th time, it's like, all right, whatever, just do whatever.
Yeah,
it doesn't really matter.
The behind the back, I was feeling. I'm not mad at that. I was feeling, and I like the showmanship of Cole Anthony too with the Thibs. I like the showmanship. He needed to chill out with the dancing though. He needed to put that back in the booth. I know Greg Anthony was tight. I saw him with the Pradas on. I know he was a little tight.
Pops wasn't feeling it.
Yeah, Pops wasn't feeling it. But I feel like to improve the dunk contest, maybe they need to put some stars in. And one of my boys brought up to me also that they need to put some of the street dunkers in also as well. He was thinking that maybe they need to do a comp, like 1 star, 1 street dunker, maybe 4-on-4, or maybe expand it a little bit. Like something, they do need to tweak something, because it is the main event. And I don't want to hear the defund the shit. Nah, the 3-point contest is not better than the Sam dunk contest. It may be more competitive at times, but it's definitely not better. Come on.
No. And I've heard, and I forgot who was on TNT. Someone had said, bring someone like the YouTube dunkers going against the NBA dudes. And they kind of dismissed it. I forgot who said it, and it's gonna bother me.
I like that though.
Who said it, but they had dismissed it. And then I thought about it. I was like, that's a good change up.
Yeah. Maybe not all, bring in 2 or 3 of them. 2
and 2. You want to go 2 against 2 and like all that. And because we know we're just not going to get the names anymore. Like, unless I don't know what they have to do. Maybe there's an incentive like for charity or some type of money. But when these guys are making like,
they don't really
to
care
get like LeBron James to do it, money.
They got to do it for the love. They don't care about the money.
Yeah, exactly. You got to do it for the love. Like guys like even Zion, like he don't need the money and all that. So it's like just like something like that where YouTube Josh
should have been in there. Miles Bridges should have been in there. Zion and Herb. But come on, like those are not I mean, they're stars, but I mean, they're not too big to be doing the dunk contest. That was the only one. I'm like, Ja, come on, bro. It's what, second year in the league right now? Come on.
Yeah.
You can do that dunk contest, my brother. You can do that.
Let me ask you something. Do you think if like obviously he's hurt, but like if Zion said, I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm. Do you think like Ja's like, you know what?
Yes.
Zion's in it?
Yeah.
All right.
I think it takes one
and then
guy.
you get Miles Bridges.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm in it. Because then now you're like, oh, okay, all right. Now you got Zion, Bridges, Ja, and it don't even matter who the fourth. You have Obi in there. Now you're like, oh, okay.
All it
and
takes
then
is one guy.
Exactly. And I think you need that one guy. If LeBron says, yo, you know what? You're near 19, year 20.
Now that'll be some shit. Year 19, do a dunk contest. That'll be some shit. And you know what's crazy? You know what's crazy too?
All it takes is one guy.
Yeah. And you know what's crazy? If the stars are in there, they don't really have to do crazy dunks like that, to be honest. Because we already seen any dunk we've seen already. So you just got to do a little showmanship and we good. That's all they need.
Exactly.
Come on,
man.
100%. Still fun, the dunk contest. Still funded. Still fun.
Yeah. You still got to fund to keep it around because it is the staple, right? You look, no matter what, even with the names, you just like, all right, I'm looking forward to the dunk contest. And then just like, damn, man, it disappointed the shit.
For sure. So let's get into today's main event, man. The Big Apple has turned rotten in just one season, man, which must be record time, man. Fans been from the highest level of optimism to losing their damn minds this season. Knicks, man, currently 12th in the East, 25th in offense, 16th in defense, second to last in pace of play this season. Lost 13 of their past 16 right now, sitting 3.5 games behind the Hawks for the final play-in tournament spot. The Knicks were known for their fight last season, man, and their defensive intensity last year, but this year, just a complete 180. We got to talk about it, Chris, man. Knicks, man, they just been a thorn in everyone's side this year for anyone who had any type of expectations. Or even if you didn't, they have been a little bit annoying this year because they've been in the news and not for winning. So talk to me about how this Knicks season has gone. And for you, what was the turning point for you in this season when you knew something was up in this Knicks season?
I know it's only 1 p.m., but I got to get the Tito's and the Tito's and orange juice ready for this one. I got to bring it out, man. Man, the turning point was Derrick Rose injury, man. The Derrick Rose injury. And listen, I think they were like 14 and 17 when he went down. So like we weren't playing great, but there was still like, all right, you know, we got a run in us and we'll get it together. It felt like once he went down, the point guard position just went into bizarro land. Like you got Alex Burks running the point. Obviously, Julius Randle does his thing, you know, being a primary ball handler at times. And sometimes, you know, it could be good and then sometimes it could be really bad. And it just not having that stability when Derrick Rose was out at the point guard position and Kemba being in and out. And I mean, that went through a stretch where he wasn't even playing. Like DMP.
We about to get into that.
And it was just like, what is like, I just didn't understand, you know, I've been big on this team finding a point, not finding, you know, putting a band-aid at the point guard position, finding your point guard of the future, right? I was big on getting being the Lonzo sweepstakes. I wanted them to draft either Cole Anthony or Halliburton, you know, when they drafted Obi, because to me, drafting Obi only made sense if you thought, all right, we're going to get a point guard to pair with him because what does he do best? He's in transition,
he's
right?
He's a finisher.
He's a finisher, right? He's a slasher and all that. And what better way to exploit that than get a point guard that could put him in the right spots? And to me, they failed that. So to me, when Derrick Rose went down, not that Derrick Rose was like, you know, he was averaging like 4 or 5 assists a game and all that, but it was just that steadiness of him. And especially with Obi too. Him and Obi, he would find Obi on oops and all that.
He would look for him.
And a dunker spot, yeah, he would look for him. And Obi was playing good basketball with that. But when he went down, the team just, the point guard position within flux. Alex Burks running the point. He's like, he could handle the rock. Doesn't mean, just because you can handle the rock, doesn't mean you can run the point.
Speak on it. Listen, I'm about to go off on Alec Burks. And
they put him in a bad position because he just didn't know how to set up guys and put him in the right spot. Like I said,
he was set up to fail low key being a starting point guard.
And they set him up. I know people are down on him now, but he was set up to fail because that's not his thing. He's a bucket getter. Exactly. He's simply a bucket getter. And now you're asking him to run the offense. That's not his game. So they set him up to fail because of the roster construction and all that. So to me, that's where it went down. I mean, they've been 11-17 since the D Rose injury. I don't know when he's coming back. I mean, the 3.5 out of the 10 spot. And also to me, the playing game is also like a lie. The playing game have teams thinking that they're like Sacramento, for instance, like they think they're in it because they're only a few games. Like, no, you're really farther back.
Yeah, you have to win multiple games at that point.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I think that's kind of like a lie too. So like, maybe the things still feel like they're in and all that, but that was a turning point. Derrick Rose going down. I didn't realize it would be that big of a deal until I saw this team play on the court, and this day they were lost. Pace of place, the pace of place has been bad since last year.
Second to last in the league right now.
And it got worse. I didn't think it could get worse, Justin. Like, it got worse. Like, how do you play slower? Like, they played slow last year and they won 40 plus games, and they're slower this year. And I just, the point guard, the lack of point guard, consistent point guard play, the influx of guys just coming in and out, it's just been bad.
So I'm glad you brought up the point guard spot, because you're going right into my point. The turning point for me was benching Kemba for me. It was a wrap since then. 20 games in, the man was benched. And ever since then, I knew it wasn't the right spirit on his team. He was benched for Alec Burks, as we talked about, who's not a point guard to me, which was the ultimate disrespect, because he's not even the same position as you. He's trying to play him out of position. So to me, it was the ultimate disrespect to a guy like Kemba. And it just showed me how out of touch Thibs is with the players in this league, with some of the new age players, and with his coaching style. And you can say that to an extent, because last year you see that it worked. But winning, it covers up everything. I think Thibs always had this.
Solves everything, brother.
Thibs has always been, he's always been this stubborn. He's always been that guy in Minnesota and Chicago. And to me, I didn't like how he handled the situation with the Kemba benching, because instead of asking one of your veteran players who's a leader in the locker room, a well-liked guy, give him a little bit more time on defense. Talk to him about how he needs to improve on defense. You just bench him cold turkey without any explanation, because Kemba said he didn't even know he was getting benched. He found out that day or the day before or something like that. And to me, that's not how you handle things as a veteran coach, and that's not how you handle things when speaking with a veteran player in the league who was also your top summer acquisition. You made a whole spread for the man coming home. So to me, we all know Thibs, he rules with an iron fist, but ruling with an iron fist only works when it's yielding results. And it wasn't yielding results this year, as we can see. And when it was time for Thibs to adapt his coaching style, I don't feel like he's done a good job, and I think he's done a horrendous job. So to me, at that point, and that was 20 games in at that point, he benched Kemba. It said a little something to the locker room, because now even the young guys were like, damn, I'm playing above Kemba right now. That's my guy. I'm cool with him. It wasn't really any of our decisions like that. And I'm proud of him for at least being happy for the young guys actually playing ahead of him. Now, we know that he had his defensive liabilities. He can play better on defense. He can play better on offense. We know that. But was benching him for Alec Burks the right solution? I don't know. It made it look like Kemba was the problem rather than the entire team stepping up and playing collectively as a unit. Randle hasn't been playing up to par. We're going to talk about that. Fournier has not lived up to his contract. We're going to talk about that. D Rose injury was a big thing, because we know it was supposed to be the combo backcourt of Kemba and D Rose. Smoothing quickly in there, a couple of pieces, and the Knicks were actually supposed to be one of the deepest teams in the league in the backcourt coming into the season. We had about 4 or 5 guys you could run. Now all of a sudden,
right? The bench is supposed to be like one of the best benches in the league.
Yeah, all of a sudden now it's the weak point of the lineup right now. So to me, I think the turning point of the season was Thibs when he did the benching with Kemba. And with that being said, I want to talk about, unless you have something to add right there, I want to talk about Julius Randle real quick.
Yeah, and just going off that, when they did the whole benching of Kemba, I kind of felt like it was a front office thing at first. I thought it was okay. Maybe they're realizing that, all right, Kemba just doesn't have it, and even though it was too early to pull the plug,
it was premature.
It was definitely premature, because first of all, we all knew Kemba had the knee issue, so we knew it wasn't like we were expecting, Boston Kemba or Charlotte Kemba. Nobody was expecting that. We were just expecting some, solid, just the steadiness. That's all we needed.
Timely buckets.
Steady. Yes, just timely buckets, which I think he's shown he still can do at times. He obviously can't do it consistently, back-to-backs and all that, but we knew that. But it kind of felt like at first when they benched him, it was like, okay, this feels like a front office thing more than the Thibs thing. And then when he started playing again, right? And they kind of had to play him, and then he just goes crazy, and then they start playing him because he's in the lineup again, and then he doesn't get waived or he doesn't get traded. It was like, okay. Okay. At first, I'm like, front office.
It started to look personal to me.
Yeah, it's like, was this a Thibs thing? Like, I still don't know how to grasp that whole, because it felt like, okay, situation. All right, yeah, it's a weird situation because it felt like, okay, front office, they either got a trade that they got lined up and they just don't play him, don't risk him getting hurt, and we're just going to trade him or waive him, whatever. And he played, and then he's not traded, he's not waived, and you constantly hear, oh, he's going to get cut, he's going to get waived. He still hasn't been cut, still hasn't been waived, didn't get traded at the deadline. So what was
Knicks
that all
are not
about?
better either at that end.
We're not better either, like, and it's just like, it didn't make us better. It's one thing if you're right, you benched him and the team got better.
Yes.
Did not happen.
Exactly.
Got worse.
That's my point. It got
So,
worse, actually.
It got worse. It's not like, all right, you benched him because you got this up and coming point guard that you're like, we just need to get him minutes. We need to get this guy minutes to see what he is, the future, whatever. That would have made a lot more sense, right?
Yeah.
You know, not like just benching him and then like, all right, we're gonna put Alex Burks as starting point guard. That didn't make sense. It still doesn't make, and that's the frustrating part about that whole situation.
What would have solved that is a conversation. What would have solved a lot of that? It would have smoothed a lot. Like, listen, I want to start playing Grimes. I want to start playing quickly a little bit more. You know, Derrick Rose is hot. I want to start going to the youth movement. I want to see what we have so that we can showcase some of these guys for the trade deadline. If that was a conversation with a great player to coach relationship or a team with some solid structure, that usually happens. There's a conversation. So to me, that was the disconnect. And to me, shame on Thibs for that, because Thibs, you're a veteran coach. You knew that. I mean, you're not new to this. Come on, Thibs, you're a veteran coach. We've seen you work with players when it's time to be stubborn. You see him going through all these growing pains with Julius Randle. You don't know what's going on. Is he talking to him behind the scenes about what's happening? So, matter of fact, let's talk about Julius Randle, because I want to talk about him, right? Let's talk about the regression of Julius Randle this season, right? Because that's the elephant in the room for the Knicks season. The elephant in the room, brother. It's the play of Julius Randle. What happened to this guy, man? After winning the most improved player last year, he's mostly taking a step back this season, low-key waging war with the Knicks fan base early on in this season.
That's where he lost it there, man.
Yo, where did we even start? 19, 10, and 5, 42% from the floor this season. He flashed a thumbs down. He told us to shut the F up. He told the fans,
bro. You killing me, dog.
He basically he boycotted post-game interviews for like 15 games. He's slapping Fournier's hand away after a loss. He's slapping the video coordinator's laptop during the timeout. None of these events, bruh, signify leadership to me from your star player, which I'm big on. So you went from all-star last year to not even mention it all. Now I'm disappointed. Talk to me what you've seen from Julius Randle this season, man. Has he lost the city? Has he lost it?
Justin. All right. So last year was obviously like best case scenario, like with Julius, right? Second, NBA all team, second team, right?
Yep.
24 and 10, shooting 46%, 41 from three. It was like, okay, all right. Then we get to the playoffs, right? And guess what?
Not
just who they're playing, not just John Collins and all that. But what was the difference between that and then the whole regular season? There was people in the stands.
Yeah.
So I guess those bright lights get a lot brighter when there's more people. It's easy to ball. Certain guys like Randle seem like they don't like all that pressure and all that. So when there's no one in the stand or there's 1,000 people and you don't really have to hear all the chirping and all that, you get just to play your game. And I felt like he thrives in those situations. And then once the lights got brighter, the garden's packed, all that, and the pressure's on, and it's playoff time, we saw what happened, right? We saw he was shooting, 29%, whatever, below 30% from three, 30 or mid-30s in the field goal percentage. Like he didn't show that what we saw in the regular
visible
season.
Frustration too.
Visible frustration and all that. And it turned all the way to this season, right? And it's just, I was really worried about you know, stuff like this happening because
You think he got too much shine last year?
Yeah, I think he played above his.
Oh, he definitely played above his means. Yeah, he definitely overachieved last year for sure.
He overachieved immensely, and the pressure to be that NBA all-team, second-team player, it's a lot. Then you get paid, right? He gets the 4 years,
got that check.
$100+ million. He got the cheddar. Okay, that he does. Listen, I bring this up a lot, and I'm gonna go into a little rant. Listen, he goes into last year, right? The non-guaranteed that year. So only like $4 million was guaranteed going into last season, right? Going into this season. All right. So he's playing for a check, right? He wants that full $20 million guarantee, right?
Yeah.
They draft Obi Toppin, right? They don't draft Obi Toppin for nothing. They draft him because they think Julius is gonna get traded or whatever.
Exact position, exact build, very close.
Position, exact, because that's what didn't make sense to me. It's like, all right, we still got Randle. It's like, unless we're trading Randle to get a point guard and we got Obi. I was like, all right, maybe if that's what's gonna happen, I'm cool with that. All right, as long as it means we get the point guard and we got Obi and all right, I'm cool with that. Then I feel like that because he came into camp, Thibs is like, yo, he came into shape. He's in tip-top shape.
He was in tip-top shape.
All those things, all those factors factoring into him absolutely playing out of his mind and being all NBA second team, most improved and all that. And then this year it's like, all right, now we got full capacity. All right. You know, now you're expected to be at least in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
All right. And that pressure grows. And then New York, they start off like 5-1. And then they play a little bad and it just seems like he can't handle when things get bad. He just seems like he implode. And like,
there you go.
New York could eat you up. We've seen players from the Yankees who when they go to the Yankees, they stay there. They're trash. And then they go to another team and they
start killing. Right? Always.
And they start killing, right?
Happens on the Knicks always.
So, you know, Knicks, any New York team.
Right? Any New York team.
Any New York team, right? Jets, Giants, Knicks, whatever, right? That pressure is a lot to take. And he's just not that dude, right? He's just not that type of star that can handle that pressure. And I feel like he's cracking a lot this year. And he's letting the fans get to him. He's reading Twitter, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because last year, last year, I always say this, last year people were posting about his babies and oh my God, how cute the babies are.
Family man, and all the nice, good, positive
Julius
tweets he was getting.
I wouldn't trade him for Anthony
good family
Davis.
Man.
So, wouldn't trade him for LeBron James and Kevin Durant, all that. And now it's like, yo, I'll trade him for a Gatorade bucket and some powder. And it's like, it's flipped. No one's posting his kids no more. There's none of that.
I know,
and it's flipped on him and he's cracking. It's getting to him. It's obvious it's getting to him.
So you brought up the big lights, and I agree with you there. And how I look at it, listen, man, if you're going to be that number one option, you got to do what? You got to diversify that skill set, and you got to embrace it. Now, let's talk about that. Has Julius Randle really diversified his skill set, his offensive skill set from last year to this year? I'm looking at damn near the same player in terms of basketball-wise. I'm looking at the Spider-Man meme where they're pointing at each other. I'm looking at and Julius Randle this year. Same old moves, still going left, turnaround jumper.
Spin move into the middle of the
defenders, flat-footed three, whatever you want to do. I saw that Julius Randle last year, Chris. And I'm seeing that same one again with less leadership, more frustration. And the numbers, if you look at the numbers, they're still solid on the surface. He's
20 and 10.
He's still 20
and 10.
So
anyone would take that.
Anyone would take that, right? So your Twitter watchers, stat watchers, you look at that and you say, damn, all right, he's still giving you work. He's still giving you 20 and 10, putting in that work. But if you watch these games, you look at how he's getting these buckets, how he's working for these buckets, and how frustrated he is when he doesn't get the type of buckets that he wants to get, it lets you know he's not ready. He's not ready for that number one option. And a lot of people, I think, going into what you said talking about last year, a lot of people just vaulted it into that number one spot because New York was just starving for a star. We're starving for some wins, starving for some success, and really vaulting him in. Now, I'm not saying the man is garbage at all. I'm just saying he's not a number one option worthy because there's levels when it comes to a number one option player. Now, he can work on that. I mean, you know, all the top players in the league, top 10, top 20, top 30, top 40 players in the league, they come back next summer with something added to their game. Another wrinkle. It may be an intangible. It may be something you can quantify with a stat. It may be a leadership. It may be something. With him, everything has gone down, every single attribute. Points, rebounds, leadership, intangibles, and you know,
3-point shooting took 11% dip.
That's ridiculous. From 1 year, from having a successful year. It's not like he had a down year. You had a successful year, so that means you should capitalize on that. So I'm a little bit perplexed, to be honest, into how he really regressed in terms of the leadership aspect, because last year I really think he was doing a solid job, even in terms of leadership.
He embraced him.
He
embraced the being a leader, the New York, like he wanted to be here, wanted to bring New York Knicks basketball back to being what it should be from the 90s and all. He embraced it. And then this year, the play just hasn't been there, right? And just, like you said, more agitated and all. I don't know if it's...
That shouldn't affect your leadership, though.
Yeah, the leadership should always be there. That's something that should always be there, whether you're playing bad or playing good. The leadership should always be there.
And you would get the benefit of the doubt if you do that.
Yes. And it just hasn't been consistent this year. And I think because there's times he shows that leadership when he's on the bench and he's not playing in the fourth quarter. But then there's times you see him being aloof and all that and just not engaging. It's just like, where's that consistency as far as you're the leader of this team. You're the best player on this team. So de facto, you're the leader, right?
You got that check, brother. You catch that check.
Gibson. Not Taj Gibson, not Nerlens Noel. No. You are the leader. You are the best. The best player on the team is the leader. I feel like if you're the best player on the team, you're the leader of the team. So you have to show that. And you want to change the culture in New York and get this team back. You got to show that. And it just hasn't shown it this year, man.
Yeah, I've been very disappointed in Julius, and Knicks Nation has been very disappointed in Julius.
I don't listen, Justin, man. I'm sure other teams, Twitter's like, the Bucks Twitter or whatever. I'm sure they get mad when stuff don't. But there's something different about Knicks Twitter, bro.
Oh, what?
It is a different beast. Like, it's scary. Like,
it's
just type in Knicks Twitter. It is scary. Like, you would be like, oh my God, I'm never clicking that again. Like, it's scary. It's scary stuff.
That's why I think he's reading
Twitter
that shit, man.
It's scary, man. It's scary in the Knicks streets.
First of all, in the Twitter space, they too emotional, man. They gotta calm down.
I can't do it. I'm a fan. I'm a Knicks fan. I shut it off.
I cannot
do this. Can't do it, bro. I can't. It's stressful.
They're too emotional. Not enough. Too much emotion. Not enough logic in there. In them spaces, man. For some of those guys are good, but some of them are crazy. But yeah, man. Julius, man. I mean, we're gonna talk about it a little more before we get out of here in the garage to what should the Knicks do this summer, man. But Julius, you got to get us together. You got what? 20 games left. 20 to 30 games left. I need you to see something else, or else time is ticking on him in New York City. I'll tell you right now, time is ticking on him.
He just signed a contract too, so like
that shit is ticking. It don't matter. It's ticking. Yeah. But let's move on to something good that's going on in the New York Knicks season. Even though it's been look like shit for most of the year, there has been one bright spot, man, and I think all of Knick Nation could agree with this. It's the progression of RJ Frank Barrett, as I like to call him. He's averaging 33 minutes a night, 18 points, 5 rebounds, 41% from the floor. He started off the season a little bit shaky, but man, he's bounced back nice, man. He turned the corner after New Year's. He started playing close to fringe all-star level, averaging 22 and 6 in the new year. We saw some jumps in his game last season, but now I feel like RJ's really learning how to play to his strengths. His three-point shot has started falling a little bit, a lot more recently. And he started to fill, I'm going to go to this point again, a leadership void that has been there. And he's been a representative of the team to the media, just a representative of the New York Knicks as a whole for something's good. So I do have to applaud him on that, and that's a part of his progression. And at just 21 years of age, man, he's the best hope the Knicks have right now to a Knicks future. So talk to me about about RJ's progression this season and what you've seen from him coming into this year.
Yeah, I mean, he started off the gate real good, right? Yeah. That first month, that first November, he was playing good. Then December happened, and especially the end of December, he
started to jump.
Couldn't buy a bucket. He couldn't buy a bucket. He's on average like 12 in December, and it was concerning because to me, the biggest thing for the Knicks, and as far as like buying into their future, it was him.
Yeah,
like I knew Julius was going to take a regression. Just because I'm like, all right, he's not really 24 and 10 and shooting 40%, like 41% for three. I was like, I knew that's not it. But even if he takes a little bit of regression and RJ takes a leap, all right, that kind of evens it out. And it didn't look like that. And I was really concerned about RJ in his game and his confidence. And same thing like last year. Turn of the new year happens, and he's starting to feel his game more. It's not. I always felt like RJ, everything's robotic. Like everything has to be set. It's got to be a set shot. That's why when people were so hyped on his corner three last year, I was like, yeah, but look at how open he was for a lot of those. Like, it's like, it's easy. You should hit your corner threes if you're wide open. Like, it should be automatic. And he was, for the most part. It felt like he was hitting that at a consistent clip. But it's when you got to take dudes off the dribble and all that. He wasn't doing that, right? He didn't have a lot in his bag. And then first time I saw like RJ has a lot more in his bag was in the Olympics when he's in Canada.
Yes.
And he put some dude in a spin cycle. I'm like, I need to see
his
that
spin,
RJ
I like
more.
his spin now. It's upgraded.
Yeah, and the ball handle. I was like, okay, like why can't we see that more? And that could be a lot of factors, obviously Thibs and all that, and just him not being allowed because you got Julius, who's a ball dominant player. But it just seems like the turn of the new year happened, and he just said, you know what? F all this. I'm gonna take over.
Yeah,
I'm gonna show you why I was a third pick in the draft and why you guys should believe in me. And listen, there's a lot of motivating factors too. He's up for a rookie extension too. So don't think that don't play with guys.
Oh yeah.
Like,
he knows that in the back of his head. Listen, that check ready to be cashed.
Exactly, bro. You know the deal, right? These dudes think about that.
Come on,
it's
man.
just we're seeing a more confident player who's he hit the buzzer beater against Boston, and he was,
It's the confidence, the confidence that you talked about, and what I've noticed, what he's done remarkably well so far in 2022 is get more to the rim. From October to December, he was averaging 8 drives a game. From January to today, he's leading the team with 14 drives per game. Now listen, that tells me right now he's being more aggressive, and I love to see it. I love the aggression. He's more confident, as you said. And when you start driving to the lane more, you get more free throws. You get rewarded by the refs. You get and then you get to get more room in your jump shots. It's easier to get a step back. It's easier to get an open three. Everything becomes a little bit more
opens up your
easy.
game.
Of course, when you start driving to the lane. So I love to see that progression out of RJ. And also, I can't be remiss if I didn't talk about the defense from RJ. Let's talk about that defense this year, bro, because I love what I'm seeing. You see the renewed effort that he's put on this end. He started the season off. No, he was still solid defense. His offense was bad, but his defense was up to par. And there was a lot of clamps tweets I was seeing with RJ.
Because he started off the season, it was against Tatum, right? And
it was against Tatum.
That first game he did good against Tatum.
But JB did have 50. Jaylen Brown did have 50.
He did have. But there was a stretch he went against DeRozan. He did good against DeRozan. I think it was Brandon Ingram. And there was a few dudes that, Siakam, like there was a few dudes during that stretch where he was like, okay, we're seeing that two-way potential that maybe people didn't really see, early in his career, that, maybe he could be that type of two-way player that desperately could need it. And he was doing that and all that. And like I said, the offense wasn't there, but to me, the at least bring it up. Listen, defense is all about effort and all that.
Yes.
And he was showing that. At least. All right, the shot's not going in, but hey, let me do this work on defense, because that, there's two ways of a game, and he was doing that at least, even though he was struggling with his shot.
So I'm going to ask you this. Is it time to fully give the keys to RJ Barrett?
I mean,
hesitation.
In order to, there is hesitation. Because you want to see whether he can be the true franchise player, right? Because they have a real roster like confliction, because there's just too many. There's vets. You got a lot of vets. You got a lot of young guys. But you ultimately lead that face of the franchise to have that confidence going into the next.
You have to have it.
You have to for the next 3 to 8 years. If you don't have that, then it's like, oh, we're screwed. They're truly screwed. And listen, their past draft, regressions have irked my soul. The way they drafted and all that, it's been
you
bad.
Can't rely
to me,
on those draft picks.
And that those misses are coming back to bite them in the ass right now. Like all those draft misses are catching up, and they've had to patchwork the roster with getting guys like Rose and Nerlens and
always have to
and taking a chance on Randle and all that. They had to do that because they've missed on free, not just free agency, but the draft too.
Yep.
Like that's huge. When you're missing on guys like, you know, Donovan Mitchell's and those type of players, hey, it's going to catch up. It's going to bite you in the butt. Yep. So with RJ, I do think I would like to see him get the keys, but I'm also worried.
Come on, yes or no, man? You giving him the keys? Is he getting the keys to the Benz or what?
I don't think you can fully give him the keys. I don't think he's that dude. I don't think he's that. I don't think he's a true franchise number one option. I think he's a good, number two, maybe number three. I think he's good in that role. But right now, I don't know if I can be like, yo, RJ, you're the face, you're the go-to guy. Take it, let's go, let's see it. Especially with the roster construction right now. Maybe if we got to give him a little bit more shooters and all that, maybe, but I don't think he's that dude.
Ooh.
He's not Ja Morant. He ain't Ja. Ja. Ja, you can get the keys to. You get the keys to Ja, and you good. I don't think RJ's that. I don't think he's Ja Morant type. Not obviously style of play, but just like that dude that you like. No, he's taking the keys.
I feel you.
He's just he's driving all over town, and he got it. It's good. He's the king of the town. I don't think RJ's that. I don't think it. So like, I don't think I could give him the keys fully. Maybe take it out for a couple days. A couple days of the week. All right, you can take it, but like not like the whole. Like, I don't think he's that dude.
I respect that, brother. I respect that. Listen, you can't give him the keys to the Benzo. You're gonna have to ride with Lorenzo right now. Listen, he's gonna have to. He's gonna have to ride with. Yeah. We gonna see. I'm really how these next 20-30 games shake out with RJ Barrett really will tell us a lot about him too going forward, especially into next year. And I think how he plays in these next ending off the season, especially if he ends it off strong, will play a role in if the Knicks front office do decide to keep Randle this offseason or look to move him. So we'll see how RJ ends off the season, man. It's gonna be interesting to watch.
Yes, that's the biggest thing, is seeing how he progresses.
For sure. Summer additions. So I wanted to revisit them real quick. The additions that the front office brought in to help the team. Tell me what you feel about them. Well, obviously we know nobody has played up to expectations or up to par, but what do you think the Knicks should do this offseason with some of these additions? Fournier, 14-2, but he's been so up and down. It's been ridiculous. He only averages 30 when he plays against Boston. Everyone else is 5 a night. When we talk about Fournier. Yeah. Kemba, 11-3. He hasn't played up to par. I've been disappointed in Kemba this season, but I think it's been a lot of factors that's been going on in New York. And I think he still can give you more than what he's shown, depending on the right situation. Nerlens has been underwhelming. I know a lot of Knicks Twitter has been ready to get him up out of here. Nerlens Noel. And then Cam Reddish. We got to talk about him. He only played 9 games thus far, brother. Averaging 11, a bare minimum 11 minutes, 5 points, barely seeing any time. Let's talk about these additions, man. Talk about what you've been feeling about these guys, especially Cam Reddish, too, because a lot of people were hyped when he came in. My man can't even see the hardwood.
Yeah, I've been big on Cam for a while. I rock with Duke a lot, so maybe there's some biases towards that. But
he got game.
I think he got game, and I think with him, he's kind of like that ultimate wild card. Like I think people are like, you see, because you see him get like some crazy comps. Like you see like T-Mac comps and PG-13 comps, and it's like sometimes. It gets crazy. And I could see why people say T-Mac, because T-Mac was in Toronto, right? And you saw the potential in Toronto with T-Mac. And you were just like, yo, if T-Mac ever gets the keys, right? We talk about the keys, right? If T-Mac ever gets the keys, he gonna take that thing and he gonna run with it. And guess what happened? He goes to Orlando and boom, what happens? We're talking about who's better, him or Kobe. He's a scoring champion and all that. Like he's in his bag.
He was ready.
He took the key. He was ready for that. And I think people are like that with Cam because he has the same type of game, right? He's got 6'8", that lanky style, kind of even that look, right? That T-Mac look where you're like, does he care about basketball? And it's like, even like all those the mannerisms and all that.
Yep.
And at times he looks like, all right, even in Atlanta, you're like, there's some games where he's dropping 30 and you're like, yo, he's coming. And then there's games where he's off. And I want to see more of it. I want to see more of Cam. I think he's another piece that you could build around with RJ. Now, if you have them two and they're eating, to me now you're like, all right, well, maybe Julius can be expendable in the offseason. Maybe we could flip him and get some picks or whatever and build off Cam and RJ. And then get us a point guard, whatever,
and that 20 points that Randle has can be split amongst the players. If you're worried about just the production that Randle is given, you could be 10 or 12 could go to Reddish, 8 of that could go to Obi. You know, I'm trying to say if they do plan on moving Randle, you can supplement that production a little bit with another piece. So it seems like I don't know what the deal is. Why he's. Well, it may be. That's why I also feel like there's a disconnect between Coach Thibs, what he wants to do, and then what the front office wants him to do. Because why else?
That's the biggest issue.
Yeah, why else would you give up a first round? It was a first round pick, right?
Yeah, it was the Charlotte pick they had because they traded down with Charlotte in the draft. So it's like it's protected and all that, but they essentially gave up a first round pick.
Yeah, and see that's the issue right there. You can't trade a first round pick. I said it before in my last episode, some Hamilton tickets and some garlic knots.
I heard that.
You traded for Cam Reddish. You got to play them, man. Come on. I think
they gave up Kevin Knox.
Come on, even Knox is getting some minutes over there in Atlanta.
Like, that's what I'm saying. If you weren't going to play, weren't going to play Cam, you might as well kept Knox down there and just, kept the bench nice and, ready. It's like, I don't get it. And like you said, it shows the disconnect between Thibs and the front office. Because the front office,
there it is.
I know we want to get on Thibs a lot. And listen, he deserves his blame. The front office has been MIA. This is a front office that star-studded.
Where's
right?
Rose
CAA,
at? Rose, where you at?
Worldwide West, Rose,
where
all these
y'all?
People.
Did they hire Steve Stout too?
Steve Stout's in there. I mean, he started off bad.
I know he messed up. He
messed up.
But we should have known, right? We should have known.
They should not have let Steve Stout, represent the Knicks at that moment.
He should have been a silent partner. A silent partner, Steve. Be a silent partner.
He went on there and just like, uh-oh.
But you're right. I'm glad you brought the front office to Thibs. Now, I say that to say this. Is time up for Thibs? Is time up? Because we looked at he's not playing Cam Reddish right now. A couple of people want him to play the young guys. Cam Reddish, he left RJ in garbage time. A couple of people they're mad at him for that, but contributed to getting hurt. But they got
the D Rose, the visions of D Rose getting hurt in game one of the playoffs that year. They didn't know. Popped up everyone's head.
They didn't know for sure that was going to happen. Now we all know that Thibs does have a tendency to wear down his players. Played him way too many minutes. We know RJ, I know he was top 3 or top 5 last year in minutes played. Julius Randle also. And Thibs is one of those guys, I remember he always says the minutes have to be merit-based. Merit-based, he always says his minutes. So I don't know what that means. Maybe that's the reason Cam hasn't gotten those minutes. He hasn't earned those minutes, I guess. But
you let Alex Burks and Evan Fournier stopping you from getting minutes.
Come on. Listen, man.
And there's two-way potential with Cam, too. There's just a lot. Justin, man.
I know the frustration. I know. I'm going to get it out for you. I know the frustration.
I'm stressed, dog, man.
It's crazy because it's ridiculous now, man. Listen, man. 6 playoff appearances in the last 21 years. Only won one playoff series in that time.
And they celebrated. Stephen A. Smith went, the confetti. And listen, that series, they were up 3-0, and they almost blew it. Boston won 2 in a row. And I was like, oh my God. It gave me, as a Yankee fan, it gave me that flashback to where we were up, we played Boston and the Red Sox came back and down 3-0. And I was like, this can't happen twice in my lifetime where this has never happened in the NBA. Mm-hmm. I was like, then they managed and they won, but it was like one playoff series in 20 plus years.
Come on, man.
It's
ridiculous. It's disrespectful. It's disrespectful.
It's bad, bro. It's bad out in the streets, man.
It's terrible. And I love how at least there was some progression last year. They were moving in the right direction. But listen, they can't regress right now after moving in the right direction. So with that being said, with this summer, we don't know. We're going to find out coming out of the All-Star break if they're going to start either tanking or maybe trying to run for that play-in spot. Who knows what's going to happen, what they're going to try to do. I don't think the Knicks are going to make the playoffs anymore. So they're going to see if it's going to, where they're going to move, what direction they're going to move in. But as far as this summer goes, Knicks have some moves to make, some decisions that they need to make with a couple of their pieces. Mitch Robinson I think he's set to be a free agent this summer. I don't know if it's restricted or unrestricted. They clearly don't want to use Kemba. They got to move on from him. Fournier, they're not happy with. Burks, they haven't been happy with his production. Perhaps even moving Julius Randle right now. He could be on the move. There are option number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 is to get a point guard this summer. We all know that. So that's going to be the move that they need to be making. That needs to be priority number 1. And also, I don't know if they should probably still continue with a little nice mix of youth and the vets. So talk to me what you think the Knicks should do this summer, and if there's any players you think they should go after, maybe the strategy you think they should take. What do you think that the front office should do this summer?
I mean, there's a lot of things I want them to do. Mm-hmm. I just don't think they can do a lot of stuff. I think they're stuck till maybe next year to try to make some moves first, trading guys, because that's when teams are more likely to trade for these guys because they'll have a year left on their deal. Mm-hmm. So now you still got guys who are going to have 2-3 years left on their contracts. Mm-hmm. It's kind of hard to move those guys, especially when,
Wait, so you telling me these boys are not even assets? Damn.
They're not. I mean,
not
they
even
didn't do
tradable
nothing.
Assets?
Justin, they didn't do nothing at the deadline. And that's for a reason. Nobody was interested. You don't think, first of all, we all knew they wanted to make moves, right? Fournier, everyone was on the table, essentially, except for RJ.
Yep.
They didn't get no bites.
I know.
They threw in the bait, they tried to reel it in, and nothing came back.
I'm a little worried about that.
That worried me because I was like, okay, nothing, not even a little wiggle.
And we barely heard any rumblings either that they were even they were even close. They said they were one deal that they were close, and I think it was with the Lakers for a THT.
Yeah, it was like THT. Yeah, it was like
Come on.
And like THT has been vastly overrated this last year with the whole trade. People we ain't traded him unless we get a star back. Like he's been overrated too.
The fact that he was the only player linked to the Knicks at the deadline that was like a real gettable guy is a problem. Yeah. That's a problem.
Yeah, it's a massive problem because that doesn't change anything for the Knicks getting a THT. Like that's just like, all right, maybe he could be something down the line, but there's no guarantee that he's going to be anything. Like he might just be a dude. So like the fact that they were not linked, like, and then they're going to go into this offseason, it's going to be the same thing. Like they may not be able to make, have any of these guys worth anything till the year after. It's like, we're going to wait another year to maybe do something.
Yo, they can't wait another year, bro.
I can't do that. I can't do that. Like, I'll be real. Like this offseason, I wasn't mad at the moves they made this offseason. I was like, all right.
I liked it.
I liked it. I thought, okay, you stay steady. I was like, I don't expect to be a top 4 seed, but I was like, if we in the 6th range, we a 6th seed, I think Knicks fans should be happy. And all it shows is like, okay, back-to-back seasons of competence. Competence, right? Because there's one thing to have respect. Because there's one thing, Justin, to have 1 year where you show out and it's like, okay, all right, well, it's the same thing with players, right? How many times we see a player ball out year one, a year, and then the next year go back? Julius Randle, for instance, right? And then the next year regress or just not be even close to that. And the same thing with the team. Like everyone wants to, they're going to go after this guy. They're afraid to see. We all hear Dame Lillard, all this, Bradley Beal, blah, blah, blah. They don't care about the bright lights the way we may envision people care about the bright lights of New York City and all that. Those days are gone, right? Those days are gone. So there's no longer the case where you could be like, all right, the pitch is New York City and then like whatever else. You don't have anything else. All you have is, all right, we're New York City, you can market you. But
that
like
roster gotta make
Kevin
sense.
Durant, LeBron James, those guys, Giannis, they could be marketed in freaking Idaho. It don't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter no more. So you have to show that, okay, no longer can we say New York City, bright lights, all that. It's like, okay, that has to be like the last, like the cherry on top. So we got to show competence, all right?
And you in New York.
Construction. And then they're like, all right, we got roster construction. We got good front office. We got a good head coach. We got a good system, good, development. And then you in New York City. So you get all that and then you top it off with New York City, everything that brings to you. Bam, now you got a pitch. Now it's back to the same old, like, well, we got New York City and then the roster sucks. Coach don't like the front office, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, New York City, man.
Come on, man.
Back to that. So, and I'm worried this offseason, And then this is what I was scared of, Justin. And I tried to believe, right? And
Let it out.
I tried to believe that this was going to be the turning point, man.
Come on,
you know, and like as someone who makes basketball content and has looked at the game different these last few years and like seen different, not from a fan perspective, I was like, okay, this could get bad though. I had that feeling. Like I took my Knicks hat off. I said, I was like, let me look at this from from an outsider's perspective. I was like, this could get, not that it could get like lose 60 games bad. I was like, but there could be a regression that I don't think people are seeing. Like, it could just be me, but I could see an instance where this team struggles and it's not the same because we are essentially bringing back the same team, but we're not factoring that the Bulls got better. All right, we got Charlotte's up and coming, right?
Everybody got better.
Don't ever count out the Toronto Raptors. Their rebuild is not like any other team's rebuild, right? They just got they got Scotty Barnes, and then boom, Fred VanVleet gets better. Siakam's back to balling out, right? You know, you got OG Anunoby is balling out. All right, they got Gary Trent Jr.
Pieces.
That's who he's hoping.
Lenny, my boy Lenny K.
Yeah, like, and we didn't factor all these teams in the East getting better and better. Like, so like, we had to factor that in, and I think that was my little fear, and it's kind of coming into fruition. And looking at the offseason, I'm like, there's no free agents that can save us.
No.
Okay? There's no savior. Right?
Absolutely not.
Bradley Beal at one point was like, oh, maybe save it. He hasn't, even before the injury, he was not hooping the way he was hooping. Dame Lillard's value has dropped significantly. You know, where he was throwing.
He's not a savior. He can't, he can't save the Knicks.
He may be, if he's your second dude, but like everyone wanted Dame. I was like, does Dame really want to be with Randle? Like that dynamic doesn't work. So it's like, are we back to being LOL Knicks? Like, are we back to like, they're going to go into this all season and it's like, they're not going to get a high draft pick, right? Everyone wants them to tank. I was like, okay, they would have to lose every game to maybe have a chance at that top 3. So like the tanking is, and it showed it hasn't worked in the past.
Yeah.
So like this off season, like it's scary, bro.
Yo,
it's scary
looking like the crossroads. It's
looking like it could potentially be a 50-loss season, potentially, or high 40s. You don't get a top pick, right? You may get 11th, whatever, and there's no free agent to save you, and there's no trade that can potentially, fix this. So like things can get really bad again. Like you had that one good year, and then like it's like, wait, was that just like a mirage? And like, did we bought in so much because we've been so bad. We bought into like, okay, maybe we turn it around because of the culture and all that. And it's like, no, in reality, it's like things are worse. Things are not as good as you thought. And boom.
I feel you.
Here, Justin.
I feel you.
I try to tell people that it could. I went on Knicks fan TV. I went on all these people, these Knicks kind of like, nah, we're gonna be a top 3 seed, top 4. I said, no, there's a chance. It's like I'm gonna be the devil and the angel. I'm gonna be the devil, right? I'm gonna tell you things could get bad, and boom, bad, bro.
Man,
it's getting bad, and there's no signs of fixing it. I
know. Well, listen, there's one side of fixing it. I think if it takes trading Julius Randle to get a point guard, that's what you're going to have to do. I think that's what the front office is going to have to do. Because like you said, not enough assets on this team. You got to create an asset. Create an asset right now. Listen.
They need also, on top of that, RJ needs to continue to take that next step.
Yeah, listen.
Because if he's just 18, 19... Yeah, and that's what, like it could be scary, right? And I'll be scared if it's truly, but we kind of need to see that because we need to know if he's that dude. All right. So like as scared as I am, I don't think he is that dude, but I hope I'm wrong. Like if he takes it and he's 25 a game and he's showing, hey, this is my team. I run because he has that mentality.
Yes.
That's why they called him the Maple Mamba.
Maple Mamba.
Like they were calling it. Like he has that mentality. Like so it's like
I want to see it.
I just don't know if the game is true. Like he's truly that number one go-to John Morant type franchise changer.
With the right pieces though. He can be.
But they haven't shown that they could give him the right pieces too. And
that right there is the real problem.
Justin, that's been the issue. No matter what front office, Steve Mills, whether it's Steve Mills, whether it's that guy named Phil Jackson, that, I ain't gonna do that, people, and he pisses me off. I could go on a whole rant. Someone actually said on Twitter that he's better than Leon Rose. I was like, do you know what that man did to our franchise? He set us back a decade. That man drafted Frank. He drafted Frank Ntilikina blind. He's like, Frank Ntilikina. And then woke up and then went back to sleep.
And
he walked through the whole scouting process.
And listen, no more.
Don't tell me he's better than anyone.
I agree, and no more gimmick moves for the Knicks either. No more gimmick moves. Just make solid roster basketball
Band-Aids.
moves.
Too many band-aids.
Too many band-aids. No gimmicks. I don't want to see Fat Joe in the front office making decisions this summer. I don't want to see any of that type of shit. No gimmicks.
And you know what's crazy? Nice Dolan hasn't even been in the picture
at all.
Dolan hasn't even been in the picture. Dolan's sitting back. So you can't blame Dolan no more.
Can't
so like people want, Dolan needs to sell teams. Like, no, Dolan is actually like, he's like, all right, we're not gonna hire no gimmick GMs or all that. No, hey, I'm gonna give. Hey, even though he was an agent, but he surrounded himself. Leon surrounded himself with basketball minds, right? So it's like, okay, yeah, he's a first time GM, but he surrounded himself with people who have been around the game, know the ins and outs of front office, and can't blame Dolan.
I know.
It's easy. He's a scapegoat. He's always want to blame him, but you can't blame him. Hey, it's come down on Leon Rose and company. This is it. This offseason, if they do nothing, Justin, they do nothing, man. You think it's bad now? You think it's bad now, Justin? The legit streets might just burn down. It might burn. The garden might just be, we might have to pick it up and move it somewhere else. Ooh. It is bad. Especially the other team across the bridge, if they get it going.
I couldn't have said that any better. It's about to get ugly. It's about to get ugly in the Big Apple. It's rotten already. It's rotten already. Don't let it decay. Don't let it decay.
And you know what's another thing too? Everybody wants the young kids to play. And listen, I do.
You're not going to win no games like that. I'm sorry.
But you're not going to win games like that. Happening. And there's no blue chippers too. We're not talking about like, all right,
Grimes, stop it. He's a rotational piece. He's not a franchise player.
He's a solid piece. We're not talking about blue chippers potentially that they just need. We're not talking about Halliburton like you just need, all right. Yeah. He just needs a spot open and he gonna take it to the next level.
Come on,
We're not talking about that. We're talking about nice pieces. Nice pieces we have. We have a lot of nice pieces. Everybody's like, yo, start all the young guys. It's like, all right, so you want to lose 60. You guys don't want to be in tank, but then you want to play all the young guys. And we don't have young guys that are like, all right, like the Rockets, right? The Rockets, you're like, all right, you play young guys because you got some blue chippers, right? Sengun, Jalen Green. You got blue chippers over there that you're like, all right, it's just a matter of time before they figure it out. Like they got some legit like potential star. Like Jalen Green is a potential superstar.
You can see it too. You can see it pretty early on. Always.
Yeah, and Sengun too. Like they got an in and out piece that could be the cornerstones of your franchise. We don't have cornerstones. RJ's the only piece that could potentially be a cornerstone.
It shows you how many Knicks were in the Rising Stars game. It shows you right there.
And people that's another thing that pissed me off. People were like, oh,
that'll tell you everything you need to know.
I was like, bro, like they didn't play enough. Like, why are you mad? Like, just
there's a reason why they weren't on it. If Sengun is making that, why. Come on.
Yeah, I wasn't tripping over that. Like to me, it was like, well, they didn't. Like, who are you taking out? That's another thing.
Which means those guys are better than them. Which means it's a problem if they're better.
And there's a bigger problem in New York. And last year was like it might have. Yes, it was great that it happened, but it also. Like it hid the fact that there's still work to be done with this team and fixing all the mistakes they've made in the past and still like thinking that last year we're just going to erase everything. No, still got to work on the missed draft picks, bad free agent signings and all that. And they this offseason is crucial because if they don't do nothing, Justin, it's going to be bad. It's going to be really bad. And we're back to being, then it's going to be back to those years of losing 50 games, 60 games, and you still got that other team in New York doing things, and it could get really bad this year.
It's
already bad, but it could get worse.
It's gonna be a problem, brother. Well said. Yeah. It's gonna be a problem.
It's scary, man. It could be really scary again.
Yeah, my man, Chris, man, I appreciate you for joining me on this episode, my brother, man. I appreciate you getting all the Knicks shit off. We needed to get it off, and I definitely
felt good, man. It feels good to get that off my chest, man. This last week, I haven't done my own show in a few weeks, with my schedule work, but I got to vent a little bit on my pod, and then I knew I had to save some for yours.
Yeah, man, you always welcome over here.
I drank my coffee, I felt good, got some good rest, slept 10 hours. I was like, all right, I gotta let it out. And I feel good. My chest feels good, relieved. I'm good to go. Now I can relax, before work. But yeah, man, thanks for having me on, man. This is an honor, bro. Like I said, I've been a fan of yours for a while. I'm happy we were able to network together. Like I said, I had you on my show a few months back. Happy to be on the pod, man. You're doing great things, man. You're definitely one of the best out here. So thank you for having me on. Definitely is an honor.
I appreciate the kind words, my brother. That means a lot, man. Coming for another one of my peers, I appreciate you, man. We all do an excellent job in this space, man. And that's what we're here for. To collaborate, to knock these fools off of TV that's on there right now.
Damn,
get
man,
them up out of there and a nice replacement.
For the first time, I watched First Take. Because like I said, I work overnights and I don't really get to watch morning, sports debate shows. Mm-hmm. I'll put it on. I was like, let me give it a shot. I turned that thing right off. I watched the news. I was like, I'd rather watch the news and watch that than watch whatever I'm seeing on First Take right now. I can't do it. But like I said, we changing.
For sure,
we're doing something different. We're not the typical, what you see, the clickbait stuff.
Yes, sir.
That's why I really digged your stuff and said, I gotta work with this dude. I gotta get him on the show. I gotta network him more. And like I said, happy we're able to do that because you're doing great stuff. And I said, we're trying to change the game out here.
Of course.
We're trying to do big things out here. And we got to represent New York and all that. So like I said, I appreciate you having me on, bro.
Speak on it, my brother. Speak on it. I appreciate you, my man. I appreciate you. Definitely you're gonna be coming in soon to get probably playoff time. I'm gonna bring a few of the Above the Rim All-Stars. People
I can't wait to go live in the studio too, man. I've been excited for that, man. I can't wait to go to the studio, man.
Definitely. I'm gonna do a nice little round table for the cat, for a few of my good brothers. So I appreciate you as always for joining me and family, man. That's episode 174, and we out.